Thank you, Madam Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and the Chief Whip, the leaders of political parties in our legislature, fellow members of the Executive Council, executive mayors of our municipalities who have been able to join us here together with the President of the South African Local Government Association, honorable members of this legislature, distinguished guests, the people of our province. Thobela, Dumelang, Dimacheroni, Abusheni, Sanbonani, Molweni, Lochani, Huyemore, good morning. I also acknowledge our guests who are in the auditorium and in the City Hall. The election of President Cyril Ramaphosa on the 15th of February this year heralds the new dawn of hope, renewal, and change for our country. The President very appropriately described this historic moment during his inaugural State of the Nation address on the 16th of February as follows, and I quote, "We should honor Madiba by putting behind us the era of discord, disunity, and disillusionment. We should put behind us the era of diminishing trust in public institutions and weakened confidence in leadership. We should put all the negativity that has dogged our country behind us because a new dawn is upon us. It is a new dawn that is inspired by our collective memory of Nelson Mandela and the changes that are unfolding. As we rid our minds of all negativity, we should reaffirm our belief that South Africa belongs to all who live in it. For though we are a diverse people, we are one nation," close quote. Fellow South Africans, I sincerely believe President Ramaphosa is the kind of leader South Africa needs at this moment, given the nature of the challenges our country faces. Let us all support him across party political affiliation and ideological divide. We in Gauteng are deeply humbled and highly encouraged that much of what the President outlined in his State of the Nation address constitutes the core of our program for radical transformation, modernization, and reindustrialization. Emboldened by the President's call for renewal and change, we shall act with greater determination to increase momentum on the following programs we have been pursuing. Firstly, addressing the problem of youth unemployment through SOPA 1 million in partnership with the private sector and the youth themselves. Strengthening the partnership with the private sector, labor, and civil society to unlock inclusive growth, greater levels of employment and empowerment, as well as the structural transformation and reindustrialization of our economy. Increasing support for the revitalization of the township economy, harnessing the opportunities provided by the advent of the fourth industrial revolution, by modernizing key sectors of our economy and the state, speeding up the delivery of new infrastructure and paying attention to the maintenance of existing one across our entire city region, upholding ethical leadership and integrity by intensifying the fight against corruption, collusion, and maladministration in government, working in partnership with civil society, reconnecting with communities throughout our province and unlocking their energies for them to become the primary drivers of this renewal and change that the President spoke about. And lastly, changing the culture of the public service so that we can treat citizens with dignity and serve the people with compassion and professionalism. As a province that played no small role in bringing about this new era of change and renewal, Gauteng Province has a responsibility to conceptually, practically, and programmatically unpack the full meaning of this new dawn. And for us, it cannot be business as usual. We must first acknowledge that we are emerging from a period of pain, adversity, and despair. It has been a difficult and trying time for our citizens, for businesses, and even for those of us who have been afforded the opportunity and responsibility to serve our people in government. Speaking about myself as a father and family man living in this province, I know that life has been tough for parents who have the responsibility to put bread on the table for their families and for raising their children. The price of food, electricity, and transport has been skyrocketing, placing enormous stress on family finances. This has increased the incidences of urban poverty and food insecurity in our province. Our approach to dealing with poverty has to change. It cannot be business as usual in this regard. It is also necessary to say that we must look for VAT zero rating of more foodstuffs and basic necessities if we are to ensure that our people are cushioned from these high food prices, electricity prices, and transport costs. Despite the fact that our economy has created a massive 300,000 jobs between 2014 and 2016, and another 400,000 jobs between 2010 and 2014, we must acknowledge that momentum has slowed down in our growth trajectory, owing largely to the tough economic conditions, especially in the aftermath of the downgrade of our country in 2017. There are clear signs already that a new dawn is upon us, thus instilling this renewed confidence in our country's economy. All key players in the economy, including labor, business, and consumers, are willing to work together under the leadership of President Ramaphosa to get South Africa working so that our economy can work for all our people. This new dawn should usher in the total renewal of the public service and fundamental change in the way citizens experience governance, including strengthening accountability and integrity of public officials and public servants, so that we can avoid fatal disasters such as the Life Esidimeni tragedy. The new dawn is about drawing inspiration from the life of Nelson Mandela, who had an amazing ability to turn adversity into opportunity, war into peace, enemies into friends, despair into hope, tragedy into a force for positive change. In his book, A Time for New Dreams, Ben Okri, the distinguished African scholar and writer, says the following about learning from adversity and difficult times. I quote, "The need reminds us that great civilizations can be built on great failures. It also reminds us that adversity is not the end of the story, but where there's courage and vision, the beginning of a new one, a greater one than before. Difficult times do one of two things to us. They either break us or they force us to go back to the primal ground of our very being. Adversity wakes us up. It reminds us not of who we think we are in our vanity, but of who we are in our simplicity. It is in difficult times that the great times ahead are dreamt and built, brick by brick, with maturity and the hope that comes from wise action." Close quote. The new dawn must therefore inspire us to recoil from despair and wake up from the nightmare of a bleak future so that we can rebuild the South Africa of our dreams. We had stopped from dreaming as a people, from dreaming about a better future due to living through a nightmare of seeing parts of our democratic state being captured in broad daylight in pursuit of greed and rabid private interest. The new dawn must therefore inspire us, in the words of Professor Khositsile, our national poet laureate, to rehabilitate our wounded dreams and reclaim and nourish the song of the quality of our vibrant being. The new dawn must also inspire young people of our province to dream big and aspire to live in a province, a country, and the world where there's greater equality, economic freedom, prosperity for all, and social and environmental justice. The youth must follow the wise counsel of President Nelson Mandela that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. They should know that there's no shortcut to self-development and self-empowerment. We must say to our youth that education is an act of love from us as a nation, as their parents. Through education, young people will be empowered to play a meaningful role in society and pursue their dreams regardless of the circumstances of their birth. As part of preparing our children for a better future, our province has achieved 95% universal access to grade R. Providing all children with early childhood development opportunities is part of the South African dream espoused in our National Development Plan. With regard to basic education, Gauteng runs the second largest public education system after KwaZulu-Natal, with enrollment having grown from 1.3 million in 1994 to 2.3 million in 2018. Gauteng has also consistently been amongst the best performing provinces on basic education. Our throughput rate is above 70%, which means out of every 10 learners who start grade 12, 7 of them complete as required. In the 2017 grade 12 results, Gauteng came second after the Free State, while 7 of our districts were in the top 10 nationally. The most significant improvement in our basic education system is evident in the turnaround of township schools and the overall performance of learners from townships, especially in the gateway subjects such as mathematics, science, technology, economics, and accounting. Madam Speaker, Gauteng is the only province that offers all 11 official languages and 7 international languages. This is consistent with the cosmopolitan and diverse character of our province, which we embrace with both hands. Gauteng is truly the home for all. As part of preparing our children for the future, in particular for the digital industrial revolution, our province is the leader in the deployment of digital technology for learning and teaching. The deployment of digital technology has significantly raised the level of interest and has improved digital skills among learners in our public education system. In 2017, our province was also awarded a gold prize for artisan skills development by the National Skills Authority, with KwaZulu-Natal in second place coming after us. This was in recognition of the effort we are putting in vocational training, which responds to the needs of our economy. Our schools of specialization represent a major intervention. Over the past 5 years, the Gauteng government has spent more than 1 billion rands on bursaries, which have benefited more than 20,000 graduates. We will continue to invest more resources in the training and development of young people in our province, because this is a province of dreamers. We welcome the introduction of free higher education for students from working class and poor family backgrounds. This is truly the dawn of a new era for many parents and young people who have been denied access to higher education for many years simply on the basis of the circumstances of their birth. Several generations of students, many of whom are here, fought pitched battles in pursuit of this dream of fee-free, further and higher education. Now the ball is in the court of our students themselves, who must work hard to complete their studies so that they do not betray the struggles and sacrifices made over many decades. As I've said before, youth unemployment is the most acute and primary economic problem of our time. Economics shall fall if it fails to answer the question of how we resolve youth unemployment. Politics will have no future relevance if youth are left out. In Gauteng province, there are close to 2 million young people who are neither in employment, in education, nor in training. Some of them are on the verge of losing hope, while others have drifted to crime and other social ills, such as drug and substance abuse. In response to the problem of drug and substance abuse, we launched Kimoja campaign, which has now reached more than 1 million young people in our province, encouraging them to lead clean and drug-free lives. Gauteng is also taking the lead in addressing youth unemployment and youth development. It is for this reason that we introduced the large-scale and massive program of SOPA 1 million as an intervention to open opportunities with regard to demand-led skills development, job placement, and entrepreneurship for the youth of our province. This groundbreaking partnership between the Gauteng government, Harambee Youth Employment Accelerator, and more than 40 major private sector corporations is a living example of a social compact. Since 2015, nearly 460,000 young people have benefited from SOPA 500,000, which was a small flagship program, which we have now transformed and rebooted it into SOPA 1 million, so that we can reach more young people in our province and give them hope. In this regard, the call made by President Ramaphosa to place the unemployed youth in paid internships in companies across the economy will inject momentum to the work we have already been doing through SOPA 1 million. We can get more companies to lend a hand and give our youth a chance. As part of addressing structural youth unemployment, we are aligning our education and training programs to meet the needs of our new economy. We have a partnership with technology companies to train large numbers of young people in digital skills so that they can take advantage of employment and entrepreneurial opportunities in the digital economy. The fourth industrial revolution is upon us. It is fundamentally transforming the way we live, work, and relate to one another. It offers enormous opportunities and challenges, and we have to be prepared for it. The World Economic Forum estimates that 65% of children entering primary school today will find themselves in occupations that do not exist. It is estimated that over 35% of current jobs in the South African and Gauteng economy will change, and others will disappear completely as a result of the fourth industrial revolution. Our economy is transitioning to the knowledge-intensive industries, with the average ICT intensity of jobs in South Africa having increased by 20% over the past decade. As part of getting ready for this fourth industrial revolution, our province has invested public money in the creation of broadband infrastructure, whose goal is to reach 100% broadband connectivity in our province by 2020. To date, we have connected over 1,500 kilometers of network fiber, with 1,066 access points connecting schools in communities, health facilities, libraries, and community centers. Through our ECASI Lab Innovation Centers, we are supporting entrepreneurs and youth with their innovations and fast-tracking the establishment of sustainable and innovative businesses in our townships. Honorable members, during my many visits to firms as part of Ntirisano, I met Black entrepreneurs who own companies that are involved in cutting-edge innovation and globally competitive advanced manufacturing activities. These companies are doing this right here in our province, right here in our country, and right here in our continent, Africa. For instance, Teddy Daka runs ANSYS, which is a Black-owned cybersecurity company that is among the major new players in the global cybersecurity industry. We as South Africa are not paying enough attention to the cybersecurity question, whereas other countries are very keen to deploy ANSYS capabilities to solve their own problems of cybersecurity. I also visited another company, the TUB Tab, a Black women-owned software company run by two women, Ms. Tutu Kumalo and Ms. Nana Sabelo. This company has developed advanced defense information technology systems for Southeast Asia's economic tigers. It trains and employs mainly young people. This is a young but very promising business in the digital economy. Women are making a powerful statement. Honorable members, women are making a powerful statement that they too want to take a lead in the digital economy. In December last year, I also visited a South African black-owned technology company, .com, which manufactures fiber optics in Waterloo near Mamelodi, Kokasi. This is another amazing story of the fourth industrial revolution and the digital economy unfolding in our own province, in our own country, in our own continent, right in the township of Mamelodi. This company is owned by, amongst others, Mr. Khudusela Piche, who is an entrepreneur doing a lot of work in our townships. Amongst other issues Mr. Khudusela Piche is dealing with is that he's running a renewable energy business in Atteridgeville. As you would know, honorable members, renewable energy is also another new sector of the economy of the future. He is part of that special crop of entrepreneurs that are bringing new industries of the future into the township economy. We are delighted that Mr. Piche has committed to training and placing 1,000 young people in his businesses this year. Mr. Piche is truly lending a hand to open pathways for our youth. I want to say to Teddy, to Tutu, to Nana, and Mr. Piche, who are both here, all of them here today, please, they are coming here to say to this house, please send us as we prepare our country for the fourth industrial revolution. They are coming here to say, please send us. Tumatina, that's what they are saying. Tumatina. I also want to acknowledge my special guests of honor, honorable members. This is a team, a dream team of young innovators and future inventors from Saibono Clubhouse, a member of the MIT-based Clubhouse network representing grade 10 and grade 11 learners. These are only grade 10 and grade 11 learners in the inner city and township schools of our province. These young people are Sfiso Kabinde, Carlos Kanyemba, Favor Okwara, Perfect Zikali, Ayanda Shongwe, and Sandilen Ndlovu. These young people are in the house. Where are my young people? Please stand up. Where are they? Madam Speaker, you have misplaced my young people, please. Honorable members, these are young dreamers who inspire me greatly. They are already involved in the Internet of Things, even when they are still at school. They are involved in artificial intelligence. They are involved in learning and applying coding language, software engineering, and the development of applications that are used in the advanced manufacturing of machines. I've seen them in action. They are involved in this, and yet they are still at school. They are my heroes. And they are saying to us as a province, please send us to the world. They are the future of our province. I would like to congratulate the South African-born Elon Musk, who recently launched the first of nearly 12,000 Starlink satellites that could bring super-fast internet access to the world. Elon is very proud of his link with our country, our province, and our capital city of Tshwane. I see the mayor is here. I want to say to Elon, and recently he reminded President Donald Trump that he is South African. I want to say to Elon, please lend a hand in linking our economy to some of the world's best innovation ecosystems out there in the world, so that we are not left behind. As Gauteng province, we have already had engagements with cutting-edge innovators based at Silicon Valley in San Francisco, California, in the United States, as part of enhancing our innovation ecosystem. In this regard, we have enlisted the support of the Ghanaian-born African-American Dr. Thomas Mensah, who is a world-acclaimed inventor who pioneered the deployment of fiber optics technology in information and communication systems, giving rise to the current digital revolution. Dr. Mensah will help us to take the Gauteng Innovation Hub to the next level. We have also been working with our own technology entrepreneur and businessman, Dr. Andile Ngaba, who is mentoring young innovators and incubating technology startup companies right at the Silicon Valley. This year, we will send 20 techpreneurs to the Silicon Valley, where they are going to join the rest of the world, so that we too can be there in the forefront of the digital revolution. Honorable members, let us have the courage to dream big and act with compassion. I dream of a provincial economy where the needs, aspirations, and energies of the majority of our people constitute the creative force for change and transformative economic growth. If Gauteng is the hub of South Africa's economy, the townships are the heartbeat of Gauteng. I dream of townships being spaces where there's a vibrant culture and dynamic local economies underpinned by the state-of-the-art infrastructure. We are already acting together with township communities and investors to turn townships into havens of sustainable socio-economic development and self-empowerment of our communities. The people in the townships need real jobs and thriving businesses where they live. They need state-of-the-art schools, libraries, clinics, hospitals, houses, roads, and other social amenities right there. They need reliable, efficient, and affordable public transport. For township residents, the new dawn must represent a major facelift in the infrastructure in their areas, as well as the look and feel of their own townships. And this has to happen as part of our renewal and revitalization program for our townships. The Gauteng provincial government and municipalities have been the leader in our country in the revitalization of township economies. Between 2014 and 2017, public procurement spent on township enterprises increased from 600 million to 17 billion. The number of township businesses which are doing business with government has increased from 642 in 2014 to 4,182 in 2017. Honorable members, we have also helped many township businesses to formalize and register as proper businesses. The introduction of the Township Economy Awards has stimulated huge interest among township businesses, which compete to showcase their services and products. The awards have also contributed to the growth of township businesses through financial support as well as access to markets. Our work as the champion of the township economy in our country has also given rise to a serious wave of entrepreneurial activity in our townships, especially amongst the youth. And this is borne by the evidence as follows. The 2017 Venture Band Tech Startup Survey shows that 44% of technology startup companies are 44% of the tech startup companies list Gauteng as their home, as compared to only 26% which list the Western Cape as their home. The survey also indicates that 53% of startup businesses are owned by black young entrepreneurs that are based here in Gauteng. And again, in comparison to the Western Cape, the number is much smaller. The critical issues for the township economy and black startup businesses and youth startup businesses is the issue of funding and access to the market. The initiative on the Township Stock Exchange is in its final stage in partnership with the private sector. We as a province have also completed a feasibility study on the establishment of a provincial state bank which must focus on funding of SMMEs, township enterprises, women and youth-owned businesses, because the Gauteng Enterprise Propeller has never met this dream and we have to rethink it completely. Another major problem facing township businesses is the mushrooming, honorable members, the mushrooming of unregulated businesses owned by foreign nationals. Township people are raising this everywhere. This is a matter we must address boldly and decisively to enforce our bylaws and trading regulations. Many township entrepreneurs are being squeezed out of business by these unlawfully operating businesses owned by foreign nationals. This year, I will lead the inspection in all the townships of any businesses that are operating illegally, and we are going to shut them down. We are going to shut them down because they are undermining our work on the township economy. In addition, we have a partnership with 40 corporations which is opening new vistas of opportunity to township-based businesses to participate in corporate supply chains, thus helping to transform these township enterprises into more sustainable businesses without having to rely solely on government contracts. We continue to invest in development of cooperatives. To date, Gauteng has 14 registered cooperative banking institutions which are serving over 16,000 member owners, with more than 100 million in savings and 150 million in assets. We are working with these institutions to ensure that they become future financial providers to township enterprises. In partnership with the Italian cooperative movement, we are facilitating the formation of consumer cooperatives in the wholesale and retail sector. These cooperatives will also mobilize the collective buying power of more than 250,000 township households to purchase affordable goods at stores they own and control. Women-led cooperatives, the majority of whom are also in the townships, are producing dignity packs and school uniforms and have created more than 30,000 jobs in our economy. Madam Speaker, we remain consistent with our procurement strategy, which must help drive re-industrialization and localization. Our province is determined to champion the use of public procurement budgets of the provincial government departments and municipalities to stimulate local production. For example, the 17 billion we are already spending in the township economy and other significant resources in designated sectors like furniture must be used to procure goods sourced from local productive enterprises. The majority of our departments are not yet complying with local content requirement. We will this year ensure that capacity is developed within every government department as well as in our municipalities to ensure that they all procure goods that are produced and manufactured in our provincial economy instead of them importing goods from other economies, especially economies in the East and in Europe. Honorable members, the social compact is underway in Gauteng province. We have been working with private sector partners to unlock the potential of other sectors of our economy. For instance, we have agreed with the business process outsourcing sector, the BPO sector, on creating 30,000 jobs in the call centers and business support services by 2019. In 2017 alone, this sector has already created 6,000 jobs, and we have only started working with them in late 2016. We have also set up joint action labs focusing on industries such as capital equipment and machinery, the ICT sector, the automotive industry, mining, food and beverages, agriculture, and agro-processing. Despite the progress we have made in the past 4 years, the Gauteng economy continues to face enormous challenges. Low levels of growth are impacting negatively on our ability to create sufficient number of jobs that will drastically reduce unemployment. Honorable members, we need our economy to create 5,400 jobs per day if we are to eliminate unemployment totally. If we are to have unemployment, we at least need this provincial economy to create 2,700 jobs a day. And this is a mammoth task. Every sector of our economy must contribute to this task. The new dawn heralds better prospects for our economy as both investor and consumer confidence is rising. It will also boost the South African exports, especially to the rest of our continent. Now, this is very, very important. We in Gauteng have intensified our work regarding trade and investment in our continent. There's no doubt that our work is bearing fruit. In 2016 alone, our province attracted 75 foreign direct investment projects into our provincial economy. And these projects are worth 36 billion rands. These projects have created 9,354 jobs in this economy. Over 3 years, that is between 2014 and 2017, end of 2017, our province attracted more than 200 foreign direct investment projects worth 69 billion rands, and these projects created 19,000 jobs. Honorable members, we must be proud that Gauteng is the leader with regard to inter-Africa trade. As of 2017, Gauteng companies had 169 projects which are worth 356 billion rands across our continent of Africa. Inter-Africa trade generated a total of 46,732 jobs in the Gauteng economy. And this is very, very important, honorable members, that we know it is not just about investing in our continent, but that investment generates additional economic activity here at home and creates more jobs. One of the major drivers of foreign direct investment and sustainable economic growth is the quality of infrastructure. Sustained investment in world-class infrastructure stimulates growth, employment, spatial transformation, and social integration by connecting communities and linking producers to markets. Since 2014, together with the private sector, we have invested more than 40 billion rands in building and maintaining infrastructure, such as building and upgrading schools, including ECD centers, recreational facilities, hospitals and clinics, houses, libraries, roads and public transport, as well as broadband and township industrial parks and agri-parks. According to the Quality of Life survey released by the Gauteng City Region Observatory in 2016, the quality of infrastructure in our province has received the highest rating amongst the citizens in the Citizen Satisfaction Survey. This is what the citizens say, that infrastructure in Gauteng is the #1 area where they think we are doing well. Our infrastructure investment projects have also contributed in creating and maintaining more than 100,000 jobs, and in growing businesses, especially businesses owned by Black people, women, youth, and people with disability. The economy and the quality of infrastructure are not the only issues of concern to the people of our province. The people of our province are also concerned about the quality of public services. Honorable members, the Life Esidimeni tragedy has exposed deep institutional problems within our public health system in particular, and the public service in general. It cannot be business as usual. Serious governance failures have compromised the quality of care of millions of people who depend on our public health system, especially the poor and the most vulnerable sections of our society, such as those who use mental health services. I would like to reiterate that the death of 144 Life Esidimeni mental health patients is a tragedy that has left deep wounds and pain in the collective memory of our democratic nation. It is something that should have never happened and should never happen again. The Gauteng provincial government had budgeted enough money for mental health care services. I would like to reiterate that the transfer of mental health care patients to ill-equipped and unlawfully operating NGOs was never approved by myself or by the Executive Council which I lead. However, as the head of government in this province, I have taken full responsibility and accountability for this tragic loss of life of our fellow citizens. I did so because I cannot pass the buck. I am the premier of this province and the buck stops with me. I take full responsibility for anything that goes wrong in the administration I lead. I must face the people and fix the problem. I dip my head in shame and once more apologize that this happened under my watch, and I'm totally committed to take corrective and remedial action to ensure that this never happens again. I've made a public commitment that I'll work tirelessly with the families to ensure that those who are criminally liable, as determined by the relevant law enforcement agencies, are prosecuted so that the cause of justice is served. We keenly await the outcome of the alternative dispute resolution process led by retired Deputy Chief Justice Dikgang Moseneke. I am absolutely determined to speedily implement the outcome of this alternative dispute resolution process in order to ensure redress, justice, and closure for the affected families. After consultation with the family committee, I will appoint an independent curator who will ensure that all the decisions of retired Deputy Chief Justice Moseneke are implemented without delay. How a nation cares for the most vulnerable in society is a defining feature of the values of that nation. In April this year, I'll appoint the panel of experts and civil society representatives who will review the work our work in caring for the most vulnerable sections in our province. And these sections in our province who are most vulnerable, the sections of the population include people with mental illness, the elderly people, people with disability, and children. Many of them are also found in facilities that are not adequately equipped to take care of them. Another defining feature of a caring nation is how it looks after its military veterans, that is, the men and women who put their lives on the line for their country. Last year, we established the Military Veterans Desk in the Office of the Premier, which is working with the Department of Military Veterans and municipalities to address the plight of our military veterans. Substantial progress is being made to address their housing, educational, health, and public transport needs. Urgent steps need to be taken to turn around the performance of the Gauteng Department of Health. The Minister of Health and myself have jointly appointed an intervention team of public health experts and managers to support the MEC for Health, Dr. Gwen Ramukgopa, in turning around the performance of the Gauteng Department of Health by attending to all the deep structural and financial problems this department is facing. We are confident that this intervention will succeed, and I want to invite you, members of the EFF. I know health is an important issue for you this year. I want to invite you for us to join hands. Hey, let's join hands and work together. I also want to invite you, Mr. Bloom, Honorable Bloom. Let's work together to fix the health system in our province. This is not a party political issue. Health is an important issue for the well-being of our people. Let's work together to fix it. The Life Esidimeni tragedy has brought to the fore that there are some of our public health workers and public officials, including politicians who treat patients and citizens with disdain and disrespect. This is totally unacceptable and is not representative of the tens of thousands of healthcare professionals and workers who are compassionate and dedicated to public service excellence. Gauteng province runs the biggest health system in Southern Africa, which caters over 20 million visits per annum. It has several centers of excellence which should be appreciated and strengthened even as we turn around the performance of this system. In the recent period, there have been more reported incidents of racism, xenophobia, and gender-based violence in our province. The fact that our province also has the highest level of inequality undermines social cohesion and nation building. As Gauteng province, we will continue to roll out programs that promote social cohesion and nation building. The Gauteng Annual Carnival, which we call the Social Cohesion Carnival, continues to grow. In 2017, the carnival was attended by a cultural mosaic of 35,000 people representing different communities and national groups who celebrated our National Heritage Day together and showcased their rich cultural diversity. The carnival is the best standard on how we should celebrate all our national days. And we celebrate the carnival in Tshwane and work very well together with the mayor. We want to grow the carnival to 50,000 people by 2019, 50,000 people by 2019. Madam Speaker, the cultural and creative industries contribute to social cohesion, nation building, and economic development. Almost 40% of cultural and creative workers in South Africa are based here in Gauteng. The industry contributes 30 billion rands to the Gauteng economy. Our province continues to host some of the finest cultural events, including the Joy of Jazz, Muretili Jazz Heroes Concert, Go West Festival, the Delicious Food Festival, the Afro-Punk Festival, and may you forget this, no, Fill Up FNB Stadium by Casper Nyovest. Collectively, these events create almost 25,000 jobs which benefit mainly young people. The cultural and creative industries also constitute an area which offers huge economic opportunities for many young people who are creative, talented, and entrepreneurial. It is in this sector of our economy where many of our youth from townships and villages across South Africa have overcome poverty and disadvantage, and they have realized their dreams. It is also in this sector that many young people are harnessing opportunities offered by the Fourth Industrial Revolution, especially in the new media platforms, to unleash their creativity and talents. Let us celebrate also the phenomenal success of Purple and the Black Panther as world-class productions that tell stories of Africans and Black people. This is important to counter racial stereotypes. I will this year in June convene the cultural and creative industries in Indaba to develop the roadmap on how we take this important sector of our economy to the next level. Gauteng must be the creative pulse of our nation. Gauteng is also the home of champions. We are the home of competitive sport in South Africa. We are the home of the great Orlando Pirates, Buccaneers. We are the home of the spectacular Kaizer Chiefs, Amakhosi. We are the home of the flamboyant Mamelodi Sundowns, Abafana Style. We are the home of Wits University, the Clever Boys. We are the home of SuperSport United. We are the home of SuperSport United, Matsatsanza Apitori. Not to forget that we are also the home of Moroka Swallows. May their soul rest in peace. We are also the home of Jomo Cosmos Ezinkosi. We love our soccer with passion. Honorable members, we are also the home of the Blue Bulls. May bloed as rooi, may bloed as blow, may bloed as rooi, yo bloed as rooi, may bloed as blow. We are also the home of the Golden Lions. We are the home of the Falke. We also love our rugby with passion. Sport is a great unifier and nation builder. In 2017, we introduced the Premier Social Cohesion Games, which drew tremendous support from soccer and rugby legends who participated in tournaments in different parts of our townships. We also had the inaugural Tambo Soncini Solidarity Games, which celebrated international solidarity between the people of Italy and the people of South Africa. These games will be annual to bring South African and Italian youth together to showcase their talent. At this point, I would like to thank the South African Rugby Union, the HIP Alliance, the African Diaspora Forum, for enlisting the participation of our legends in both soccer and rugby in the Social Cohesion Games. This is another example of an emerging social compact. I want to challenge other sporting legends in golf, in cricket, in boxing, the cyclists, the bikers, the netballers, and the marathon runners to come to the fore and lend a hand in building a movement for social cohesion in our province. The time we face is an interesting and challenging time. This is the time, to paraphrase J.F. Kennedy, this is the critical time that we must answer the question about the new dawn, and that question is not what can the country do for us, but what we can do for our country. Honorable members, we reiterate our commitment to prudent financial management of public resources, because these resources, these finances don't belong to us. They belong to the public. We should do so through ethical leadership so that we can inspire public confidence in the way we manage financial resources. I am happy to report that Gauteng has been experiencing sustained improvement in audit outcomes since 2014. The recent Auditor General's report gave 2/3 of our departments and entities clean audits. 2/3 of our departments and entities have received clean audits, coming second only to the Western Cape. Now, this is the only time the Western Cape emerges in my speech. Very, very important. Coming second only to the Western Cape. This is a tremendous achievement as we continue in our quest to achieve 100% clean audits. The main area of concern for me remains wasteful and irregular expenditure, Honorable Moriarty. I know we are together there on that, fighting wasteful and irregular expenditure, as well as delays in payments of service providers, and delays in the disciplinary processes and criminal prosecution of those who are involved in corruption. This is a matter that I want to assure you will receive greater attention in 2018. According to the recent report by the National Department of Health, even with all the problems that our Gauteng Department of Health is having, Gauteng is the #1 province on national core standards on the Ideal Clinic, now only followed by KwaZulu-Natal. Followed by KwaZulu-Natal, not the Western Cape. On clean audits, I give it to the Western Cape. 80% I know. On Ideal Clinic, we are the #1 province followed by KwaZulu-Natal. Out of 372 clinics, 281, that is 71%, have achieved the ideal clinic status. And what does this mean, to be an ideal clinic? It means that these are clinics which open on time, they have good infrastructure, they have adequate supply of medicines, they are clean, and they are staffed by health professionals who practice Batupili principles. This is a fundamental issue, because if Batupili principles were adhered to, we wouldn't have life as a Dimeni tragedy. These clinics are ready to roll out the national health insurance. We are also the only province that has championed and has introduced the open tender system as part of the crusade against corruption and maladministration. This year, honorable members, we will introduce in this legislature a bill on the open tender system. As part of our efforts to institutionalize clean governance, to build a culture of integrity and fight corruption, I have also appointed a civil society-led ethics and anti-corruption council as our own watchdog to ensure that there is clean governance in Gauteng. They are our own watchdog. This advisory council is already hard at work cracking down on specific areas where the specific departments have a bad record on compliance with regulations and ethical standards. Please lend a hand in the fight against corruption. I've also met with the Special Investigation Unit to ensure that all outstanding cases involving Gauteng government officials are speedily concluded, so that where necessary, criminal prosecutions can ensue, and they must ensue this year. It is unacceptable that many forensic investigations are instituted by departments, but there are no consequences on the part of wrongdoers. As a province, we have been outspoken and consistent in the fight against corruption. But there are departments and officials who still undermine our track record on ensuring that there is clean governance. This is their year. They are going to face serious consequences. I want to take a lead as well in this. I want to take a lead together with the MECs to subject ourselves to lifestyle audits this year. And I want to call on you, all members of this House, let us voluntarily subject ourselves to lifestyle audits, all of us. Let us do that. Let us do that, all of us. Because our province must take a lead in building, we must take a lead in ensuring that there are high standards of service delivery, accountability, integrity, and ethics in public office. I will meet on Wednesday with all senior managers across the Gauteng provincial government, from director level to heads of departments. I am doing this in order to ensure that there is a renewal of the public service. And all our public servants must understand and internalize what has happened with the Life Esidimeni tragedy. And they must understand that they have a responsibility in ensuring that there is nothing that happens in the public service that jeopardizes the lives of citizens. I am going to come out of that meeting with public servants on Wednesday with a very, very clear program that will ensure that there is no department in Gauteng province where public officials, including those of us who are politicians and public servants, do as they wish. Because the citizens are getting a raw deal from some of us in our province. We need a new and fresh approach to enforce accountability and delivery. We can't have anyone who gets paid so much money passing the buck. Many of the people who do things and later say, it's not me, or I don't know, I was told this. We pay, the public pays public servants and politicians a lot of money that they don't have. A lot of money that they don't have. Madam Speaker, I want to pay attention to the perilous problem of crime in our province. I am saddened that we are not yet winning the war against crime because of the high rate of crime which destroys the dreams of many of our people who yearn to live their lives in safe and secure communities. Over the past year, we have worked much better with the leadership of the South African Police Service, led by General De Lange, the Provincial Commissioner. We have also worked better with community policing forums and other law enforcement agencies in directing resources and the collective energy of our communities towards areas which contribute to a high rate of crime. Together, we have now set targets for every station, every cluster, and also targets for provincial, cluster, and regional commanders to reduce crime by 50% in the 40 high rate of crime areas in our province. Those targets have been set and they have to be met. Working with national government and municipalities, and the mayors are here, I'm very grateful. We have also added 1,266 police personnel and 859 high-performance vehicles to improve police visibility and response. We have reintroduced specialized police units to focus on priority crimes such as gender-based violence, the trio crimes, drugs, and farm murders. Our police officers are highly motivated by our intervention. They are now well equipped to reach any place as fast as possible. Madam Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Van Staden and Honorable Dr. Peter Groenewald of the Freedom Front Plus for meeting with me and MEC for Safety, Honorable Nkosi Malobane, on the 16th of December last year to discuss this vast issue of crime in our province. They have made a contribution to come to the fore and lend a hand in the fight against crime because they feel this is also their beautiful province. Honorable Van Staden has come to the fore and say to us as the government and to the people of Gauteng, stuur my asseblief. Stuur my asseblief. Stuur my asseblief, Honorable Van Staden. Thank you very much, Honorable Van Staden. I want to challenge all other parties to join hands in the fight against crime. Honorable Lorima, I know your passion in this area of fighting crime. I want you to join hands with us in fighting crime wherever it manifests itself. We have also launched a campaign that draws the attention of our nation to the plight of young women and girl children in our province. Through this campaign, we are galvanizing a multidisciplinary response to the multiple and complex challenges facing our girl children and young women. We will act together to tackle high levels of violence and femicide against young women, increased rate of new HIV infections amongst young women, the high pregnancy rate and school dropouts amongst girl learners, the stigmatization, attacks, and killing of members of the LGBTQI community in our province. Honorable members, patriarchy and unequal gender relations are at the heart of the problems facing women in general and specifically young women and girl children in our society. Our response must therefore be comprehensive, multi-sectoral, and multidisciplinary in order to combat crimes against women and girl children. A key focus of this response must first and foremost be the empowerment of young women and girls through education and creating opportunities, economic opportunities for them, in order to enhance their economic independence and reduce their vulnerability. We also have introduced a program which focuses on equipping young mothers with the necessary skills that will transition them from depending on child support grants so that they can engage in sustainable economic opportunities. That program we call Welfare to Work. Honorable members, since 2014, we have moved 30,000 young mothers out of child support grants, and they are now living independent and sustainable livelihoods, and they can look after their children. We have trained these young women. They are now involved in sustainable economic opportunities. Some are running their own businesses, others are employed. They no longer depend on the child support grant. In addition, we must also ensure that the girl child stays in school. For this reason, we have provided 1.1 million girl learners with dignity packs and sanitary towels over the past 3 years. We have now upscaled this program in partnership with civil society and the private sector, and we hope over the next 12 months we will reach 1 million girl learners across the province. Our response will also include ensuring greater coordination between the criminal justice system, civil society, and other stakeholders. To this effect, I've appointed a special cabinet committee that is coordinating our response. We call on all communities to lend a hand and join the fight against crimes perpetrated against women. Our programs on women empowerment are comprehensive and integrated to address social, economic, political, and institutional impediments to gender equality. Currently, the Gauteng provincial government spends 23% of its goods and services budget on businesses owned by women. We would like to achieve a target of 30% by the end of our term. 23% of our budget is spent on businesses owned by women. Over the past 3 years, 108,000 women have also benefited from employment opportunities in our public employment programs. And 2,600 women-owned businesses have benefited from infrastructure, hospitality, tourism, cultural and creative industries with whom we are working together. Women are also the primary beneficiaries of our housing delivery, social security, our health and educational programs. For instance, this year alone, 54% of the bursary allocation for higher education students in Gauteng, supported by our government, are female students. So 54% of the bursaries have gone to female students. Madam Speaker, the central tenet of our vision for Gauteng is to build a province with integrated, safe, livable, green, sustainable, economically viable, and culturally vibrant communities. Since 1994, Gauteng has delivered more than 1.2 million RDP houses, which constitute 30% of the national housing stock. Over the past 3 years, we have delivered 60,430 housing units and 28,000 serviced sites. I certainly know that this is not enough. Due to the high rate of urban migration, which has led to the situation in which the housing backlog remains at 540,000. In order to deal decisively with this backlog and transform spatial patterns in our province, we have now introduced what we call post-apartheid cities and mega human settlement projects. A total of 31 new mega human settlement projects have been approved for all the 5 development corridors of our province. These projects will yield more than 700,000 housing opportunities over a 5-year period. To date, we have already launched 7 new mega human settlement projects. In Ekurhuleni, we have launched 3 of them. The mayor is here of Ekurhuleni, Leopold, Daggafontein, mind the name, Daggafontein, mind the name, Daggafontein, and John Dube. We have launched 3 in Ekurhuleni. In West Rand, we have launched 2 of them, Montrose and Elijah Bagai. In Johannesburg, we have launched 1, River Sands View. And in Tshwane, Mayor, last week, we launched Rama City. Rama City. This will be followed by the Vaal River City and Lanseria development projects whose planning is currently underway. We are delayed there largely by the sanitation issues, sanitation issues from water and sanitation. The mega human settlements and post-apartheid cities have already attracted private and public sector investment of more than 100 billion, which will also contribute to Gauteng's provincial economy. We are also paying attention to completing what we call legacy projects that are spread throughout our province. These are smaller projects which come with problems that have been there for over a decade. Our country needs a fresh approach to the resolution of the land question, which has been at the heart of the struggle against colonial conquest and racial oppression. The land question. We welcome the resolution of the governing party's 54th National Conference on the expropriation of land without compensation. Honorable members, we welcome the resolution of the governing party's 54th National Conference on expropriation of land without compensation. Honorable members, as an urban province, the land question is particularly pressing when we seek to overcome apartheid, spatial, and economic injustice through integrated and sustainable human settlements. As we also seek to ensure the security of land tenure and support urban agricultural production and food security, as well as to build industries where it matters most, closer to our townships. We need this land to do all these interventions. Without the land, we cannot do all these interventions. We can't adequately re-industrialize our province. So we are going to work with municipalities, with national government, to release land in state hands for productive use as an immediate issue right now. We have land in state hands. Municipalities and ourselves as the provincial government, we have land, and national government, we have land immediately in our hands, which is underutilized. There's also significant land that's lying fallow, some of which is abandoned by absentee landlords. This land must be expropriated and allocated to our people for their own advancement. During our interaction with communities through Ntirisano, many people have come to the fore to say to me as the Premier that we must make land available. They've made this call to MEC Paul Mashatile. Many of them say they don't want to wait for a house from government. They say, give us the land, we will build houses for ourselves. We are indeed going to respond to this call to give those of our people who want to build for themselves land. But there are also many who say they want to use this land for productive economic activity. I also want to add that we also need land in well-located areas such as key economic centers, and this land must be used for public interest, and some of which must be expropriated for public interest in order to build integrated human settlements and post-apartheid cities. In other words, we can't put these new cities and these new human settlements in the periphery, away from everything. We must make sure there's land that's well located, closer to economic opportunities. And I want to assure you, honorable members, this we will do with a great deal of responsibility. With a great deal of responsibility. No illegal land invasions will be allowed. No illegal land invasions. We want to work with you, the EFF, on this issue to address the land question, but don't allow illegal land invasions. Don't allow that. One of the unacceptable practices in the provincial government departments and some of our municipalities is the underspending on allocated infrastructure budgets, the terrible consequence of which is to forfeit the money back to our national treasury. This is a grave injustice for which there must be and there shall be consequences. Our work, honorable members, must be to ensure that we spend every little cent that we have to improve the quality of life of our people. We want to usher a modern, integrated, reliable, safe, and affordable public transport system in Gauteng. We are working together with our municipalities to roll out the BRT system everywhere in Gauteng, as in the metros in particular, to expand the Gautrain and integrate the taxi industry into the mainstream of our modernized public transport system, which will be operated under a single transport authority soon. Honorable members, we all know that the e-tolls have added to the cost of living for many motorists and public transport users in our province. The new dawn must also bring a solution to this protracted and unresolved problem of e-tolls. It is loud and clear for all to see that e-tolls have not worked. I want to repeat. It is loud and clear for all to see that e-tolls have not worked. Accordingly, I will engage President Ramaphosa in order to find a new and more equitable funding model to support the continued expansion of Gauteng's road networks and public transport system. And I want to say to you, please send me. Please send me. Stuur mij alsjeblieft. Tumani mina. Tumani mina. Tumani mina. I want to say to you, please, Tumamina. Tumamina. Tumamina.
Can we allow the
Speaker,
Premier to wind up, members,
Madam
please?
Speaker, climate change is a reality. It is amongst the dominant trends that trouble our world today. Together with rapid urbanization and fast-paced technological change, risks posed by climate change need a comprehensive global and local response. We have to change our lifestyles in order to protect our planet and its finite resources as part of implementing the UN Sustainable Development Goals. In this regard, the most urgent and pressing challenge for the Gauteng City region is to guarantee the security of supply of both water and energy. The recent study by the Gauteng City region suggests that we are more vulnerable as the economic engine of South Africa, particularly to this question of water crisis. We mustn't only think that it is Cape Town. We are extremely vulnerable. And urgent action is therefore required to avoid this crisis befalling on us, the crisis that has befallen the Western Cape, the Eastern Cape, and other parts of our country. We have no luxury of waiting, or we cannot shift the blame. We have to act together now. In this regard, next month I plan to meet with all the mayors and water experts to discuss our comprehensive plan as the Gauteng City region to deal with this situation right now. Next month, I'm meeting with all the mayors, and I want to commit all the mayors here in front of you. They must not act with complacency. We are not immune to this crisis. So every municipality and every mayor must act with a great deal of seriousness and urgency. And I hope we will understand this challenge and not wait until it is too late and then start blaming others when we could have done something about the problem. We call upon communities, government, and businesses to use water sparingly. In this regard, we need to harness new technologies to address a range of issues such as water treatment, wastewater management, issues of sanitation, harvesting rainwater, and the fundamental problem of aging infrastructure in our province. Because we lose lots of water as a result of aging infrastructure. With regard to energy security, clean and renewable energy solutions are the only way forward. There can be no turning back on this important question. Our provincial government and municipalities have to push forward with far greater determination in implementing our jointly agreed energy projects for this city region. Gauteng provincial government and its cities were honored to be elected the co-president of the metropolis, which is the World Association of Major Metropolitan Regions and Cities, at the 12th World Congress in Montreal in 2017. Our participation in the metropolis will help us to benchmark our performance amongst the best of our peers in the world with regard to managing urbanization, building inclusive economies and livable cities, promoting social cohesion, and implementing the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. In August this year, honorable members, we will host a meeting of the board of the metropolis, which will be attended by more than 130 governors and mayors from major cities, metropolitan regions, and city regions in the world. The meeting will give our province the opportunity to add its voice as we address global issues facing our time, such as climate change, rapid urbanization, rapid technological change, improving access to quality education and health, as well as tackling growing inequality and poverty. Gauteng must take a lead again on many of these issues facing our globe and our continent. Gauteng must also assert itself more strongly on issues affecting our people in the province. Honorable members, I hold a strong view that oftentimes we have allowed a situation in which our province gets a raw deal. For instance, the size of our provincial legislature has remained fixed at 73 seats, whilst KwaZulu-Natal stands at 80 seats. This is so despite the fact that Gauteng population is now the biggest since 2011. Even with the equitable share, we have not received our fair share. We haven't received our fair share, even with the equitable share. We are yet to receive our fair share. Honorable members, I call upon all of you across different political parties to join me in standing up for the people of Gauteng, because this is what we are elected to do, to stand up for the people of our province. I would like to call on all mayors in our province to work together with us to represent the interests of the people of our province, regardless of the political party that is in charge in any particular municipality. I want to repeat, we must represent our people regardless of the political party in charge in any municipality. And we must work together and work together well. And I'm saying this because there are mayors who are finding it difficult to work outside the prism of party political partisanship. There are mayors from different parties, who are finding it difficult to work outside the prison of party political partisanship. If you want me to name them, I will tell them in a meeting. I've told them already. I've told them in the meeting already. If we are to deliver a better life and enable all Gauteng residents to live their dreams, let us pursue a common public interest for the people of our province. We must stop being prisoners of our own party political affiliations. Gauteng needs mature leaders who can work together without worrying about the next election. This province needs mature leaders who can work together without worrying about the next election. Madam Speaker, let me return as I conclude to Ben Okri. In his poem, A New Dream of Politics, he has the following to say, open quote, "They say there's only one way for politics, that it looks with hard eyes at the hard world and shapes it with a ruler's edge, measuring what is possible against acclaim, support, and votes. They say that there's only one way to dream, for the people to give them not what they need, but food for their fears. We measure the deeds of politicians by their time in office. But in ancient times, they had another way. They measured greatness by the gold of contentment, by the enduring arts, laughter at the hearts. But we live in times that have lost this tough art of dreaming the best for its people. Or so we are told by cynics and doomsayers who see the end of time in blood-red moons. We dream of a new politics that will renew the world. Under their very suspicious gates, there's always a new way, a better way that's not been tried before, close quote. So the new dawn requires not only that we dream again or rehabilitate our wounded dreams, it also calls for new dreams that imagine a civilization beyond the present, a new civilization that is premised on equity and social justice, which puts the primacy of human well-being above anything else. The new dawn must also calls for a new dream of politics in which public officials uphold a high standard of accountability, integrity, ethics, and they show respect and listen to citizens. This is the politics that we must choose over other politics. And I choose this politics of a new dream over other politics. In conclusion, I would like to call on all of you to lend a hand in working for a province and country of our dreams. I thank all the dreamers, young and old, who refuse to succumb to despair and adversity. I thank all those who refuse to give hope. Let us be the province of hope, renewal, and change.